Hi, my name is Sophie Christman. Thank you for watching my video. I would also like to thank Ken Hiltner and John Ferran for supporting The World in 2050, Imagining and Creating Just Climate Futures, Sustainable Conference Model, and the Stony Brook University Video Production Group. A portion of my talk today is taken from the forthcoming co-authored article with Anne Kaplan entitled The Climate of Ecocinema that will appear in the Oxford Encyclopedia of Communication. In 2016, climate change populism has become a potent transnational trend reflected in global cinema. I define climate change populism as the growing social condition where ordinary people embody and act on their emerging awareness of the destructive human behaviors that cause climate change. Today, I will briefly trace the genealogy of climate change populism by showing how contemporary filmmakers use diverse cinematic imaginaries to reveal humanity's fears concerning global climate change. These fears question future access to hydro, food, and energy resources, environmental illness, survival beyond extreme weather events, and urban overdevelopment. First, let's start with the definition of climate. Climate is generally mobilized as a term in three ways. It can refer to general weather conditions over a period of time, or it can be thought of as in regard to a geographic region incurring particular weather patterns. Climate can also serve as prevailing public opinions concerning social trends. In regard to the third meaning, the climate of opinion, it is evident that today global warming is a contested arena, with climate deniers' rhetoric slowly giving way to a scientifically based, worldwide consensus of climate change populism. Now, in the 21st century, most societies have acknowledged climate change patterns as threats to Earth's material integrity, with the understanding that anthropocentric climate change has provoked challenging climate times. Following the emerging scientific, political, economic, and communications discourses that have lately focused on climate change, cinema studies has also taken up this social trend within the subfield of ecocinema. Ecocinema is a field that involves the human gaze looking at cinema through the lens of the environment. Now I will briefly explore the four films Mad Max, Fury Road, Mood Indigo, Turin Horse, and Pompoko to analyze the various ways filmmakers create cinematic imaginaries to express the existential and cultural undercurrents of climate change populism. Speculative films often take up themes of climate change populism and perhaps meet the conference goal of a less worse outcome for humanity by 2050. One such speculative film, George Miller's Mad Max, Fury Road, models ecofeminist perspectives of agency to address global environmental crises. The Mad Max Fury Road sequel is a post-apocalyptic feminist western that also foregrounds feminist resolutions to dystopian environmental discourses. The lead character in the film, Mad Max, is usurped by Imperator Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron, who plays a female cyborg. Furiosa has risen to the level of chief driver of an armored tanker truck in charge of leading a convoy through a desert wasteland to an oil refinery in Gastown. The film's theme marks the failure of scientific conservationism by focusing on the socially violent responses resulting from lack of hydro and fuel resources. Since Mad Max Fury Road's setting takes place in the speculative apocalyptic desert, the characters face insurmountable environmental challenges. Miller's film leaves behind wilderness ideologies to utilize a dizzying array of high-tech vehicles screened with specially produced rigs, such as GPS drones and a unique edge arm crane mounted on vehicles to capture high-speed shots. Film sequences include almost 2,000 VFX shots overseen by 3 teams in 3 locales. Although the film's production cost exceeded $150 million, Miller, envisioning the narrative's apocalyptic future, ironically insisted that everything that is shown in the movie, from costumes to car, had to be able to be made from reclaimed objects that would be around after an apocalypse. Miller's telling comment emphasizes the film's artistic agenda to provide realistic, post-apocalyptic-like props, but also shows an unawareness of the film's own contribution to climate change through its manufacture of excessive e-waste devices. For instance, it is possible that once Miller's edge arm is discarded, it will end up in Global South dump sites. Cosima Danaritzer has noted in her text E-Waste Tragedy that such sites receive 50 million tons of e-waste every single year, sorted and burned by youngsters breathing the expelled cancer-causing toxic smoke. Increasing numbers of ecocinema scholars, such as Hunter Vaughn, are training their critical lenses on e-waste caused by the film industry. Mad Max Fury Road also provides a masculinist alignment of women with nature, but the film pivots the narrative with feminist responses to social injustices. In the film, rogue Imperator Furiosa not only leads the armored truck convoy, thus enjoining female responsibility for fossil fuel economies, but Furiosa also, with the help of older Volvolini matriarchs, rescues a harem of wives who are forced to be reproductive breeders for the CEO. As Greta Gard has noted, women are disproportionately affected by climate change as a result of inequities produced through gendered social roles. Thus, Mad Max's convergence of reproducing females within a sterile desert wasteland invests viewers with concern for gendered equality in our collective future. Mad Max Fury Road addresses climate change populism through its screening of the survival responses to extreme climate conditions. While its environmental subtext of primitive environmentalism and resource conservation provide viewers with a greater cultural currency of environmentalism, this mainstream fiction film is the product of the for-profit entertainment industry. Thus, Mad Max Fury Road offers viewers only a latent witnessing of future human selves struggling through climate catastrophes. Other films embody climate change populism by making visible the increase of environmental illness due to over-industrialization. Michel Gondry's French adaptation Mood Indigo is a tragic comedy that plots characters engaged in conspicuous consumption who are then blighted by environmental illness. The film's story reflects a Sartrean whimsy that shows how hedonism impacts the environment and eventually leads to environmental illness. Mood Indigo makes visible the aesthetics of production and consumption through products such as garbage disposals that devour and dispose of whole plates of wasted food, and the magical weather makers that change climate with the wave of a hand. The film's focus on the consumption cycle shows the ways in which food production, according to David A. Cleveland, has departed from historic natural cycles to modern human agri-food systems that promote overconsumption, and hence waste, which then spurs greenhouse gas emissions. The scenes of overconsumption are polarized against others that capture an elasticity of the body, where when characters dance the biglemois, their bodies become elongated and misshapen. This trope foreshadows both the environmental degradation and human bodily changes resulting from worldwide growth economies based on consumer culture. The lead overconsumer in the film is a character named Colin, played by Romain Duris, a rich French layabout who consistently overconsumes huge meals such as trickled eel with lithinated cream and juniper in tasty leaf pouches. Colin creates a hedonistic piano octale, a piano that, when played for entertainment, also mixes drinks. The film's theme of eco-sickness clearly ties industrial pollution to environmental illness. On their honeymoon, Chloe, played by Audrey Tautou, and Colin pass through a factory town and then stop for a picnic lunch where they engineer the weather. Later, as they sleep, a toxic flake from the nearby factory blows through the honeymooners' window and Chloe unknowingly ingests it. The mesothelioma-like flake metaphorically turns into a water lily in Chloe's lung, changing her status from honeymooner to what Stacey Alamo would note as a toxic body. Mood Indigo's industrial discourse conflates the manufacture of nature with the manufacture of weapons that allegorizes a type of war on nature. Chloe treats her lung decay with various botanical cures. Her treatment includes being surrounded with 32 cubic feet of propagated hothouse flowers every day. Finally, she is sent to the mountains to breathe a fresh air cure, but her health continues to decline. To meet the high cost of Chloe's botanical cure, Colin begins work in a hothouse factory that makes gun munitions. The factory uses a unique agriculturally based weapons model that requires nude men to lay atop mounds of raw earth in which steel acorns are planted. The men gestate the acorns with their secreting organs and body heat in the production of industrialized nature for weapons manufacture. The character's lung decay is mirrored by environmental decay. Multiple scenes portray a brown creep substance surrounding the exterior of Colin and Chloe's apartment, and the home's interior supernaturally decays. The greenhouse gas effect is referenced when the chef notes that the sun doesn't come in like it used to. Viewers learn that the environmental decay is spreading since the neighbor admits her apartment is infected too. Unlike the film's beginning, which focalizes the hedonistic excesses of consumption, the film's tragic conclusion closes with Chloe's death in an autumn black and white wasteland, while simultaneously the brown creep squeezes down on their home. In a temporal way, the narrative shows the cause and effect relationship between industrialization's byproduct of conspicuous consumption that has led to global conditions of eco-sickness. In contrast to Mood Indigo, Bela Tarr and Agnes Horansky's Hungarian film Turin Horse is a spare black and white tragedy set in the 19th century that focalizes characters who must negotiate extreme climate conditions to gain access to limited hydro resources. Unlike the whimsy of consumer excesses present in Mood Indigo, Turin Horse's narrative embodies the intellectual despair of the Anthropocene. The entire film consists of only 30 shots enfolded within a narrative of 7 days. Turin Horse's establishing shot shows the prolonged Sisyphean hardness of life with a 4.5-minute tracking shot of a horse pulling a cart through a winter storm. Both the manacled horse and his driver are enveloped by a howling gale that symbolizes mankind's relegation to the environment of drudgery on the swirling planet. The two main characters in Turin Horse, Olsdorfer and his daughter, live in a spare shelter that is sited in a barren landscape. They must navigate a bare existence with daily struggles for food and hydro resources amidst the extreme weather. Their simple daily routines include blustery attempts to fetch water from the well, cooking potatoes on the wood-burning stove, raking hay to feed the horse, and gathering wood for the fire. In a trope that is quite the opposite of Mood Indigo's conspicuous food consumption, Turin Horse emphasizes the couple's food resources, consisting only of potatoes that the daughter boils each day for the daily meal. As they dine, the pair peel off the burning potato skins with their bare fingers, licking their fingertips to cool them. Even within this dire narrative of diminished food resources, the daughter scrapes the potato waste into the garbage. Climate change discourses appear in the film. The characters notice the well is going dry, the sun is dimming, and the woodworms who have made noise for 58 years have ceased. Though the father and daughter attempt to leave the home, the dire weather prevents them and they exist in complete despair. Many scenes of despair show the daughter or the father looking out idly out of the window. These scenes foreshadow the effective despair of what it will be like for some to negotiate the future wastelands of the Anthropocene. The last film I will briefly treat today that embodies climate change populism is Isaiah Takahata's Pompoko, an animated children's film that educates young viewers about overdevelopment's effects on the ecologic system. The film describes Japan's municipal Tama development project. The Tama project created Japan's largest housing development while simultaneously eradicating its natural environment and displacing its animals. Told from the viewpoint of a non-human raccoon narrator, the film provides young viewers survival concepts that model transformation and adaptation. The film's child-friendly dialogue anthropomorphizes raccoons, and the narrative opens with an idyllic primitive environmentalism where the raccoons live alongside people to gain access to plentiful food resources. They take over an abandoned farm and live a utopian life until their barn is demolished when the Tama development project starts. The raccoons adapt to the Tama urban development through education, transfiguration of species, aggression, and significantly for young viewers, with lessons in population control to address their shrinking environment. In one scene, the raccoon Oroku tells a crowd of followers, "It's about time our numbers shrank. Those of us who are mating must keep our bellies small. Have another cub and you will lose it all. The forest is shrinking at such a rapid rate. We must act soon. Let's hope it's not too late." Similar to the U.S. westward expansion that displaced indigenous populations, in Pompoko, the raccoon's pastoral land deteriorates into an urban wasteland, complete with soil erosion and drinking water tainted from the pesticides used at nearby golf courses. The raccoons develop adaptation strategies to survive. Their engagement in political advocacy leads to increased media attention, and young viewers learn the importance of advocacy in preserving the natural environment. What the film ultimately provides to young viewers is an urgent reminder about the dangers that urban development and built environments present to non-human species, as well as a primer on ways in which all future beings must adapt neophilic approaches to the abrupt environmental conditions of climate change. Finally, in tracing the diverse ways in which the films Mad Max, Fury Road, Mood Indigo, Turin Horse, and Pompoko use climate change discourses in their cinematic imaginaries, it is evident that transnational filmmakers are responding to the condition of climate change populism by screening in various ways a social awareness of global warming. Thank you very much for considering my talk today, and please email me with your questions or comments. Thank you.